Hello everyone, this is EsportsHector, and in today's video we're going to make a simple, easy to make recipe that is not only going to not break your bank, but also not take too much of your time. So if you could please give this a like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Share this with friends and family, as this is something that everyone can do. Little recipe here, we're gonna make some turkey chili. Quick thing, in terms of the price of what I spent for all of this, excluding the seasoning, it was about $10.50, give or take. And that's also excluding the minced garlic, because we already have that in our refrigerator. So what I'm doing here in terms of the ingredients is going to be a pound of 94% ground turkey. Again, that just happened to be the cheapest. Some red peppers, I grabbed 2 of them, I diced them. 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Minced garlic. So what I actually did to make things a lot simpler was I already have a jar of minced garlic in the fridge, so I don't have to go too crazy. I grabbed about a teaspoon or so. The yellow onions, not yellow tomatoes, but yellow onions, I grabbed 1 yellow onion, sorry for saying that. Diced tomatoes, again, this was in the can already. You can go with the less sodium or the sodium-free version. And then the last thing that I did here was I grabbed from my spice rack, I grabbed salt, pepper, garlic powder, oregano, chili powder, and crushed red pepper flakes. Okay, so my wife, seeing as she's the one that knows a lot of the ingredients and how much to put in each, because she's done it so much, she's just putting a little bit of each seasoning just for the flavor. So she knows that flavor profile that she's looking for when making this. But sometimes I like to just get it done so that way it's done and over with. I mean, right now it's Monday morning at about 9:20 or so. So I'm just preparing this so that way we have lunch for the week. This right here, between the 2 of us, is gonna last us about two and a half days. And that's essentially with both of us having lunch Monday, Tuesday. And again, one person's probably gonna have this on Wednesday, but I'll end up making another batch. So with one person, this is almost doing about 4 to 5 meals for that week. So you have lunches from Monday through Friday. What I'm gonna do here quickly is I'm going to just stop the video for a moment, just reset, so that way you're looking at what it is that I'm doing over on the stove. Okay, thanks for just waiting just temporarily. So what we're gonna do, I already started heating up the pot. I set it just to high, just to get that heat building up on the pot itself. Because what I'll do next is I'm gonna just throw a little bit of olive oil. Okay. Now I'm not gonna do like the Paula Deen or the Pioneer Woman where it's like a gallon of oil. And just move it around a little bit. You'll see that it's starting to smoke a little bit as we've already built up enough heat. So what I will end up doing here is I'm going to grab my handy dandy spatula, take my garlic first and my onions, and I'm just going to throw them in. You're gonna hear everything start to sizzle. So what I want to do here is I want the onions and garlic to just sweat. So let's say it's about 2 minutes, give or take. And again, I've already brought up enough of the heat from the stove. So it's just going to be cooking even though I brought the temperature down just a little bit. An easy way to know that this is, your onions are sweating is think of just like a human sweating on the forehead. There's like a little bit of like a glisten. Now what I'll typically also do is just let the yellow onion just brown a little bit or caramelize just a little bit, just to get a little bit of the flavor. So to do that, just let the onions cook. Don't keep stirring it. Let the heat just, again, get it to sweat. Let it get a little bit of some burn marks on there. And I'll show you exactly what it is that I'm looking for in just a second, because this is already pretty much done very quickly. So what I want you to focus on right here is if you can see the yellow onion, it's kind of browned a little bit. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for here with the onions. And I'll just keep moving it just for like another half a minute or so. because now the next thing will be getting the turkey into the pot. Pretty much done there. So I'm just going to throw my ground turkey in. And what I want to do is I already want to start kind of grinding that turkey down a little bit, just so that way it's in its little, it's already in some sort of small pieces. So I'm just letting this cook down a little bit. Same thing. This should take maybe about 3 to 5 minutes to get the turkey to cook down a little bit. Also, you want that to start to brown up a little bit as well. So it's getting a lot of the flavors that we threw in with the minced garlic and the yellow onion. Keep in mind, something that I'm also going to do is probably fast forward through some of these parts and pieces just to make life easy, okay? Before I do that, I'm gonna throw a little bit of salt, okay? So this is a little bit outside of what we were doing for the seasoning little bowl that we have, and pepper, just to give a little bit of flavor to the turkey itself. Personally, I like pepper. My wife does not like a lot of it, so I just know that when it comes time to eating it, I'll put a little bit more pepper or crushed red pepper flakes just for the spice factor. Again, as I let this sit a little bit, it's already starting to brown. Again, I've set enough of that heat. Think of it like a car. I'm on the highway, I put cruise control on, I set the speed, and it's just gonna keep going no matter what. Okay, so I've already set the heat, so it's taking less effort to have to cook. So one thing to keep in mind, again, this is really great. Do this first thing in the morning, maybe even like just before noontime or before lunch. Because once I start to get the canned tomatoes, peppers, tomato paste, the seasonings, and a little bit of water in there, I can just let it simmer for about 15-20 minutes and just let it cook on its own. And then once it's done, it's ready to be eaten. Now, as you can see as well, it's building a lot of that steam. I don't have the fan on just because I don't want to create any more external sound. But one thing you can hear, at least I can hear, I'm not sure if the mic is picking it up, is you can probably hear a little bit of the remaining fat that's on that turkey. Again, I went with something pretty lean, so that's why I added a little bit more olive oil just to kind of compensate for that. You can always go with the 85-15 if it's available. There's also 90-10 and 93-7. So it's very similar to getting like a ground beef. But again, it's leaner, so there's not as much fat that comes up to the top. Another thing that you can focus on in terms of saving even more time is maybe doing this on a Sunday as you're doing, let's say you're prepping dinner for the evening or for a few nights if you want to do the leftover option. Just so that way, you can get this done, and now Monday morning, and like in my case, I don't have to worry about this. I can get up, I can go do video edits, I can respond to emails, I can start looking at VOD reviews and, you know, kind of getting ready, let's say for early scrims of the day, or just playing, you know, solo queue for the afternoon or late morning. So I'm just gonna let this simmer down for a little bit. Again, I'm gonna fast forward through parts of this just so that way it's not super boring. We're almost done and getting ready to kind of throw everything together for that last piece. Again, if you could give this a like and subscribe, share this with friends and family. This is a great recipe. Again, we do this typically now that's fall. We're right up in the Northeast. There's a great lunch right here. Nice, hearty. If you're cold, it warms you right back up again, ready to get you going for the second half of that day for you if you're working or gaming. So right now, a lot of that fat has kind of, you know, reduced a little bit, so we don't have as much liquid at the bottom. And I I think we're about ready to get this next piece up. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to throw my red peppers, my diced tomatoes, my tomato paste. I'm gonna stir this up quickly just to kind of get everything spread out a little bit. Again, because I've already brought this heat up, it's gonna just start to heat up all the ingredients. I put my dry seasoning and about a cup and a half of water. So let this go in. Now what this will do, what the water will do, is it'll kind of mix with that tomato paste, make it a thicker, super chili here. So I'm just gonna mix everything up, let it build up to a simmer, and then I will go in and just cover it, set a timer, and walk away. So again, this is that 15 to 20 minutes that you can set aside now to maybe, again, get a solo queue in or VOD review, depending on what your schedule is for the day. Start to build up some heat. I'm also gonna just bring it up just a little bit just to get that simmer going. Now, when that simmer does happen, what I'll end up doing is I'll just put it on very low just to keep it going, more or less. By simmering it, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some of that evaporation from the water and make that tomato paste really come out where it becomes a little bit more thicker than it is right now. Right now, it just looks like just water with a bunch of ingredients. So I can kind of show you quickly what that looks like. Just grabbing it with both hands. So you might be able to see what it is that I'm seeing. You may not see so much of that liquid just because of the angle that I'm holding it at. But right now it's just more soupy, I guess is the best way to put it. So let me build up that heat. Once it comes to a boil, that's when the cover goes on and the timer begins. So I could already, again, hear that the heat building up where it's gonna start to boil in just a couple moments. And again, what I'll do is I will stop the video momentarily just so that way it can fast forward through that 15-20 minutes, and then I'll show you the finished product of what this looks like. And right now I can get the aroma of all the seasoning in there. Again, that garlic and yellow onion is still coming through, even with us watering it, putting all the seasoning. We put a little bit more garlic powder. We do like garlic within our chili, so I'll add a little bit extra garlic. It's still boiling, or still building up to that boil. So I don't want so much of a rapid boil. I want it to really start boiling. So again, just maybe another minute and a half or so. As you can see, right now it's about 9:38. When I started, it was about 9:20. So in about 20 minutes, it's pretty much ready to go, or you can then just walk away. One other thing to keep in mind too, we have I believe it's a ceramic stovetop. So I cleaned it right before. Not that it was super dirty, but the reason why that's so important is just so that way you're not losing any heat with everything that's caked on there. Whatever, if you have a ceramic stovetop, by all means, or a glass stovetop, by all means, use whatever cleaner that's available. Sometimes they give you like a little, like a razor blade that you can use. So right now, as you can probably hear, or as you start to see what I'm gonna be doing next, I'm just getting ready now to get the temperature down to low, because it is at a full boil, not a rapid boil, but at a full boil. So you don't want to get any of that heat lost, because you are essentially, you have other things caked on just from other meals that you cooked and whatever mess comes from it. So I'm not leaving it fully covered just so that way some of the steam can come out, but it's still building enough heat that everything is just cooking and just kind of, you know, that ground turkey's marinating. The peppers are starting to get almost like a roasted. They become pretty soft. Same with the onions. They become pretty soft with the boil. So the nice thing about this stove in particular is I just moved it over to the smaller burner. So it has a 2-burner system where there's one that's bigger, and within that it has the smaller one. So the bigger one will use both. The smaller one will just use the one that's closest to that center of the stovetop. So right now it's starting to come down a little bit just because I, again, brought that heat down. And so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just going to stop filming for a couple moments, set a timer, and just let it do its thing for a bit. And I'll be right back to give you the final product. And so I'm back, everybody. We just finished the chili in the pot. So what I did is I just turned it off, left the cover still on there just so that way it could still be cooking just for a little bit longer, but there's no heat on it. So what I did was I just grabbed the ladle, grabbed a little bit more of the chili. I didn't add any extra flavoring just for the simple sake of time. But B, this is just more like a taste test, talk about it a little bit. One thing we will do is throw a little bit of Mexican cheese just to add a little flavor, but the cheese, what it'll also do is because of the heat, it'll be more of like a thickener for the chili, so it'll create a thicker chili. So you can go with that. You can throw chives or cilantro if you want, just again, depending on the flavor profile that you're looking to get through your variation of your chili. You know, we've done this for a few years now, so we've probably made different iterations or changed a couple of the ingredients to have, let's say, more crushed red pepper, maybe less chili powder, things of that nature, so that way we can have something that we both really enjoy. So what I'm gonna do here, I let this the steam come down a little bit, so I'm gonna just kind of angle it down a little bit so you can see what it is that I'm looking at. So as you can see, the soup, or the liquid part of the soup, sorry, it's not overly water. There is a little bit, it's a little bit more thick than it was before when I got it all together. So I'm just gonna take a bite. So I'm getting a lot of the flavors from the dry seasoning, but also the onion, the flavor from the onion, now that it got into that water and it just marinated more or less, or simmered in the pot with the garlic, with the minced garlic. One thing to keep in mind, when I set that timer for 20 minutes, when it was done, one thing that I looked for, and it was just because a little tip my wife gave me, was making sure that the pepper is soft. Not that you need it to be like almost like mashed potato soft, but you don't also want it to be like super crunchy like you would in your salad. So it should be a little softer, or a little bit more on the softer side of things. So that's it, everybody. Again, a very quick recipe, 20 minutes in terms of it cooking, and then it's ready to go, more or less. Right now it's 10 o'clock here, so I want to say maybe overall between the prep and everything, maybe it's going to take about 40 minutes, especially if you're just doing things as, you know, one continuous swoop, as opposed to what I did was I got everything done, then sat around for a little bit just to prepare the set, and then started to go into making it. So as always, one more time, if you could please give this a like and subscribe. Again, this allows more people to see what my content is all about, as well as I'll be streaming on Wednesday at about 2 p.m. EST, so Eastern Standard Time. I'll be playing some Apex with a couple of friends, so I'm looking forward to getting that. And again, I'm going to just put in the top corner, everybody really liked my last video for the upper and lower back mobility and stretching, so I really appreciate everyone that has gone on to take a look at it. Again, the link is just above me. And as always, everybody, stay healthy and game on.